So let's fly over the Nkangala TVET College campuses located in Mpumalanga. And you can see I'm taking a west-east line. You can see the Owl of Limpopo looming there on your left. And the line we're taking, we're going to fly directly between Johannesburg, Pretoria, and where the old Rustenburg is. In fact, those are the Magaliesberg Mountains you can see with that gorgeous curve. And the reason why we're taking this line is because historically there was a continuous attempt to get through to the old Delagoa Bay or Maputo for trade. And the second reason is this area has got massive coal seams combined with the fact that it's a watershed of South Africa. In other words, 4 of our major rivers start here. So the combination of massive coal reserves and really good water resources has meant we've started up all these coal-fired power stations. And the first TVET campus that we're going to visit is in eMalahleni. That's the old Witbank. eMalahleni means place of coal. And there literally are, I think there are around 22 collieries or kind of coal mines in this area. And this forces the strange contradiction where on the one side, for Nkangala, you've got a place where they can do all sorts of work integrated learning. All the companies around you are trying to invest in skills centers and community engagement and investment to show they're doing something for the community. But on the other side, you have some of the most polluted air in the world and the most catastrophic landscape visions that I've ever seen. Especially when you combine it with that tragic apartheid spatial landscape with your townships below you over here and the green white suburbs above you with the golf course which we're flying over now. And in that industrial area is the top of the world training center which produces qualified artisans who really get a proper experience on how to do boiler making and electrical engineering and mechanical engineering. And now we're flying across to the old historical educational center of Witbank with the Generaal Hertzog Hoërskool. And what you can see over here is the old historical Witbank Technical College, which was started in around 1968, specifically because there was a demand for white artisans in the steel factories and the coal mines. But since 2003, when it's merged, it's become a campus now which serves all our people. And it really is a good campus. It has 6,000 students there. It offers all sorts of business studies programs and all sorts of engineering programs. And it also has an excellent information technology and computer sciences department. So let's do a slow pull out of the historically white Witbank to get a sense of the apartheid landscape of this area. And the first thing I want you to notice is the railway line. Now that's the old railway line which ran through from Pretoria to Delagoa Bay in the attempt of the old Transvaal to get some independence from Britain and also to start funneling all the coal and various other resources which the old Transvaal had. You can also see the N4 running across there in the distance all the way from Pretoria through. Now we're flying over to the Mpondoza-Nkomo campus, located right next to old, abandoned and still burning coal mines. In fact, underground there's some of the longest burning fires in South Africa, causing an enormous danger to the people in the area. But they still go there. They get like wheelbarrows of coal and they sell it to the local community. Now, this campus does mainly engineering. It's electrical engineering and related design. And interestingly enough, that's an old primary school, the Sibukusetu Primary School. But initially what happened was Highveld Steel was struggling with the fact that they didn't have black skilled labor. So they set up this college for the improvement of the skills of their black artisans. So you have this complex history between apartheid South Africa with its attempt to de-skill black labor and industry, capitalist industry, which is attempting to upskill black labor, mainly because they could get it cheaper than the white Afrikaner skilled artisans. So let's pull out of eMalahleni, the place of coal with the dirtiest air in the world. You can see on your right KwaGuqwa, the place of kneeling, another black township. and we're going to move east to Middelburg. Now for me, I cannot help but see a tiger over here. You can see its eyes and its mouth biting down on the wastewater works. You've got the historically white suburbs of Kanonkorp and Dennisig. And then we move over. It's such a classically apartheid town. You're going to see the industrial area over there, which has all the steelworks. You're going to see the historically coloured and Indian suburbs of Rockdale and Nazareth. And then a massive wasteland of collieries, just coal mine after coal mine. Now this Middelburg campus is very interesting. Look, it was historically white, but it's got a strong history of innovation attached to it, where it started experimenting with forms of distance education quite early on. And even more important than that, what they started to do was experiment with how to convert their N4, 5, 6 qualifications into an access program for degrees with the old Technikon South Africa that went on to amalgamate with UNISA. Not the new Technikon South Africa, which is a private organization. Very different story there. Now, this question of articulation that this Middelburg campus was experimenting with a long time ago. How do you create access for your TVET students into degree programs, especially once they do the N6? Or how do you create access for your NCV students into universities of technology? That's a vital question which we've got to make sure we keep on solving in the South African system. So this Middelburg campus is huge. It's the second biggest campus in the Nkangala group, and Nkangala is the biggest TVET college in Mpumalanga. It's known as the Skills Campus, and sadly very recently there have been hectic student protests over here, and one of the complaints has been that there's actually not enough equipment for them to do the various kinds of skills offered here. And I haven't been able to find out any substantive qualitative information that would go either one way or the other on that particular campus. Now we're pulling back towards Joburg and Pretoria. In the distance you will see the line which takes us all the way through to Maputo using the railway line and the N4. On your right you will see the Gert-se-Banda district of Mpumalanga, and that dark swirl behind Waterval-Boven is the Elandleni district, also with its own TVET colleges. Now we're flying across to the CN Mahlangu campus. You'll immediately notice that we're in a terrain which has got this extraordinary contrast between the floodplain with all the commercial farms on your left, with the Kwa and Ndebele homelands on your right in front of you. Now all the homelands were a terrible, tragic farce of a joke, but almost out of all of those homelands, this one was the worst. The apartheid government bought a couple of white farms in the area and then tried to locate the southern Ndebele people in this region, even though it wasn't really their spiritual heartland. But the southern Ndebele influence in this area is marked by the name of this campus. CN Mahlangu was one of the kings of the southern Ndebele, recent king. So now this campus is an engineering campus. It offers all the NCV programs in the civil engineering, electrical engineering and mechanical engineering range. So let's do a pullback to get a sense of where this campus is in relation to the other campuses. What I want you to look for as we pull back is the confluence of two rivers. So you're going to have on your left-hand side, you're going to have the Olifants River, and on your right-hand side, you're going to have the Elands River. And that massive floodplain you have there is one of South Africa's biggest floodplains and agricultural areas. Now we're moving eastwards even further. We're coming right round, quite close to Delagoa Bay, to Waterval-Boven. Now, historically, this was a very difficult zone for the Afrikaners to get their railway through to Delagoa Bay because of this hectic mountain range that was in the way. So there's all sorts of tunnels over here and great engineering feats which enabled the Boers to finally get access to a non-British port which they thought would guarantee their independence. Not that that actually happened. Now you'll see this Waterval-Boven campus is located in the most beautiful zone, Watervalboven, above the waterfall. And this campus has got a strange and long history. So it used to be a high school from 1958 to 1990. And then from around about 1990 to 1999, it became an environmental center because there's amazing climbing and facilities all around this area. And eventually that closed down, and then the Pretoria Technikon tried to use it as a learning center for their distance programs. That didn't work. Then it got transferred to nkangala in that great attempt of 2002-2003 to amalgamate all the college campuses. And eventually what happened was is then passed on to nkangala as their campus, which they now do a whole bunch of tourism and HR management and some engineering qualifications. So let's pull back. You can see the railway. You would have seen some of the tunnels if you look closely. You'll see the dramatic landscape of the mountains which the Boers had to struggle with. We're now moving over some of the most ancient rock formations in the history of the world, 3.6 billion years ago. You can see Maputo over there. You can see the line which the colleges take, that east-west line, with the Mkhangu campus as the outlier. We're now pulling out over the Limpopo plains. In front of you, you can see the Great Owl of Limpopo with its two eyes staring out at you. And now we're going to get sight of how our colleges work on a straight west to east line. And then finally, after watching the other Mpumalanga TVET College campus videos, you'll see that the Gatsabanda TVET College campuses exist in that green heartland to the bottom right of the nkangala TVET colleges. And then you'll see that the nkangala TVET College campuses exist in that dark green zone stretching towards Maputo from Watervalboven. And that gives you first sight of the Mpumalanga TVET colleges in South Africa.